gonna do what you're gonna do. So, um, you guys, I have a question to ask you. And, the reason why I ask this question, or that I am going to ask this question, is basically more because of a situation that a friend of mine was going through or is going through. So, do you guys still believe in the idea of being equally yoked? Right. Okay, so let's talk about this. Equally yoked. I don't mean the yolk of an egg, Y-O-L-K. I mean yoked, Y-O-K-E-D, yoked. Equally yoked. Many of you may be familiar with 2 Corinthians 6:14, which many of us have applied to amorous love, right? The whole, like, most of you don't even know the Bible verse, but you just know that as a Christian, everyone has grown up with the idea of being equally yoked. If I'm going to be with somebody, I'm a Christian, he going to need to be a Christian because we got to be equally yoked, right? Haven't we all grown up with that fallacy of equally yoked means that you and this person have to study at the same altar? You and this person have to worship the same God. That's the only way that you guys are going to have a peaceful home, right? Okay, so we all grew up with that shit, right? Okay, so y'all do understand that that Bible verse has nothing to do with romantic prospects. I want y'all to understand this, okay? The Bible verse actually says, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness?" Now, if you know anything about Corinthians, you know that the Corinthians was Paul's letter to the church, right? So in Paul's letter to the church, and if you study that was the King James version that I gave you, but if you even study the NIV version, it says nothing, absolutely nothing about romantic love and what that means. It actually says, "Do not be yoked together with unbelievers, for what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness?" So, yeah, that's basically the whole thing. It has nothing to do. Now, I know that was probably like a what moment for you. Like, excuse me? It don't got nothing to do with that, y'all. The whole idea was Paul was saying to the church, you cannot mix a believer with an unbeliever in terms of the church. The church cannot operate with a believer with an unbeliever, right? It doesn't mean that you two in a relationship, unless your relationship with your amorous partner is seen as church, they're not the same things. Somehow, some way, this was translated to "do not marry a non-believer." So if you're a Christian, don't marry no Buddhist, don't marry no Hindu, don't marry no Muslim. And honey, I don't know if you know, but Christians are not the largest religious sect. It's actually Muslims. Okay. So we ain't supposed to be together. Mind you, I love when people want to use the specific verses from the New Testament to work for their life. And listen, this is not shade to anybody, but I'm just saying, like, the New Testament, if you want to know the truth about the New Testament and what it says about specifically speaking of love as it pertains to amorous or romantic or platonic or agape love, what it says is, you can actually reference 1 Corinthians 13. Everybody is familiar with that passage. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not boast, blah, 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 blah. That is where we find our meaning and how we should love. That's where we find it. Not in, oh, well, if you're a non-believer and I'm a Christian believer, then that means that we can't be together. And maybe it's just me. I mean, I'm really interested in knowing what you guys think about this. Like, to me, I've always I grew up with that adage that like you can't be unequally yoked from your partner. So I'm out here looking for a Christian kind of fella, you know. Let me just say, a Christian is the one who slapped me in my mouth this summer, okay? Okay? That was a Christian. I'll take a Muslim man for 800, Alex. Okay? Okay? I'm just saying. You know, I think one of the things that we have to be careful of is having our religion become ideological. And what I mean by that is it is okay for us to have separate religions. I believe that there is more than one pathway to God. I've always believed that there was more than one pathway to what I refer to as God. Okay? I believe that if you understand the Bible, I understand the Bible I understand that Christ coming back and the Bible and my Christianity is more about showing me a way to live, being present and really accepting the God in myself in order to really live the Christ-like way. You know, I don't believe God came to bring me Christianity. I believe he came to show me the truth and the light. He is the way, the truth, and the light. Y'all better not, don't make me preach. Don't make me perch, okay? But I'm just saying, you don't want your religion to become ideological. And it does so when you start to believe that your religion is the only pathway to God. When you are so boxed in that you believe that God can only exist in your religion. I've taken the limits off of God a long time ago. And I had to take the limits off of him because I've had people who were non-believers in my life who have shaken me to my core. You know? So I am not of the sense that I don't believe that there is only one way to God. But I know a lot of people who do. And I think that a lot of times that could be very limiting because your love is limited to God being boxed in only the way you see him. So beyond that, I could imagine that it would be hard for you to find love within someone else who ideologically has a difference of opinion. One of the things that I'm starting to realize about people is that, and this is like just beyond the subject of being equally yoked, because I think equally yoked also brings into play the ego and how we box God in. And what are we looking for when we are looking for a mate? You know, are we looking for someone who is a replica of us? Are we looking to see, and listen, sometimes that could be dangerous too, honey. Okay? And a lot of times that's honey, ain't some of us getting mirrors of ourselves? And that's why the relationship is dysfunctional? I'm open to the idea that, that love doesn't always look like the way that I envisioned it to look in terms of this is the list, you know? He might be of a different religion. He might be of a different race. He might be a lot of things different than I. But I think that is what is so amazing about grace. And that's what's so amazing about God and his 31 flavors of love, you know? Yeah, we're not all the same, man. And I know that that's like real groovy talk for some of us, you know, like that's real like a groovy spirit. But like, you know, if I could just testify for a moment, I just want to tell y'all that like that to me, that kind of unboxing of God, that kind of, or the, for I call it God, you may call it, you know, whatever it is that you call it, but that unboxing, that allows you to see him in everyone and in everything and in every religion. There are things in the Quran that we could benefit from. There are things in the Torah that we can benefit from. There are things that we can know, and what I don't want to do to myself is feel like I need to be, like I need to create this box of God and limit to where he can serve and what he can do. No, my God is really capable of a lot of things, of many things, of all of the things, honey, of all of the things, and I want to impress something on you, about just kind of being open. I have been challenging myself with the, like I talked about earlier, the ego and remaining in the present is one of the only ways that I not only fight off my ego, but I use it to fight off anxiety. So sometimes I have to stop and really take a deep breath, really pull in to my lungs and my stomach so I could deflate and feel it come out. And that is a way for me to get present, just really just pull in. And I know that a lot of us, shout out to the Read and all of you guys who listen to the Read. I was listening to both Kid Fury and Crystal talk about how, they've been having a rough time, a rough go at it. And I'm sure the devil's been tap dancing on all the best routines that he knows: anxiety, fear, failure, depression, self-loathing, you know what I mean? Cause that's what it is. The Bible talks about us having to fight against principalities and power. It is, those kind of things are the things that I refer to as principalities, and not necessarily power, but depending on how much you've thrown those things, and how much those things kind of, become the plague that is your 24-hour clock, then that's what gives it the power. And there are days that I struggle with getting, power over those things, but I have to rest in a dominion that's bigger than me. So to do that, sometimes I just get back into my body, and I breathe in really deeply through my nose and I just let it out through my mouth, and I feel my lungs expand and I feel my belly rise and deflate, and it just gets me right back. It gets me right back here, where I could say, God, okay, you know what? Things aren't like this and things aren't like this, but I'm here. Damn it, I's here. I's here. Listen, you're here. You're here. And shout out to you for being here. Shout out to you for being present. Shout out to you for not letting anxiety get the best of you. Shout out to you. Shout out to you today for just putting one foot to the ground and putting the next foot to the ground and just saying, you know what? I want to lay in this bed all day, but I'm out here. I'm going to go get it. And even if it just means I just go to the gym today, well, fuck it. That's what you did. And you know what? Shout out to you for that. Listen, I'm not even going to hold you, son. Not even going to hold you, kid. But I'm just saying, that's some real New York talk for that ass. I'm just saying that I think that it's important for us to really just develop a practice on staying present. And if that means that you have to, if that means that in order for you to get present, you have to stop for a moment and snap yourself out of it, whatever. Sometimes, you know what I do, low key? Sometimes I will take my finger and snap it by my ear. Just to say girl, get out your head. Get out of your own head. And I don't know, you might have to find something that works for you. But listen, if there's anything that I could do to share to help us on our mindfulness journey, then, do that. Sometimes, listen, I'm not even going to hold you with this, but sometimes we smoke trees, But sometimes those trees be getting me in my head. So I gotta just know that, like, if I'm holding a meds, you know what I mean? That means I gotta chill, smoke it and just stay in that